Today we are taking a look at the ZTE Valet. This one is from Tracfone, so this is one of two all new Android devices for Tracfone. And this is actually a brand new service for Tracfone. It's the one of the first true smartphones available for that service. This one retails for $99.99. And the features on this one are a 1 gig processor, a 3.5-inch screen measured diagonally, Android 4.1, aka Jelly Bean, which we'll show you. Android 4.1.1. So it's not the latest Android and it's not the newest Android, but it is one of the newest Android operating systems out there. Now what's interesting about this phone with Tracfone is that essentially it will operate just like any other Tracfone in that you can buy any card. You're not limited to buying the highest denomination or an unlimited card or anything like that. So you can actually have this phone for as little as $7 a month. Now it is of the CDMA variety, so Tracfone will activate you with either Verizon or Sprint. Now, as I said, you can literally activate this phone for around $7 a month. It does come with triple minutes for life. Of course, that's not going to get you a whole lot of data, so if you're a light data user, and you just want a nice phone, then this might be the phone for you. But being that it's triple minutes, you can actually get the 450-minute card, and that will give you up to 1.2 gigs of data per month for around averaging out to about $26 or so. So the 450-minute card goes for about $80. So in 3 months time you're looking at around $26 or so. So a really good deal if you're not a super heavy data user. Now the design on this phone is pretty typical Android. If you're an existing Tracfone user and you've never used an Android, then this is going to be an all new experience for you. The Android layout on this one is fairly basic. You have the 3-button Android button layout at the bottom, and they are capacitive touch. So these aren't push buttons, they are flush on the screen. They're actually kind of part of the screen, and they are touch buttons. They are backlit, and the phone does have a light sensor, so the backlight on the buttons at the bottom there will light up, when needed. Now on the left, of course, you have your volume buttons. On the upper left, here's your charge port. On the top, you have the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, so that will take a standard iPod type headphone jack. There's your power button and lock button there next to that. And this phone does have a dedicated camera button, which is not typical on some of these entry-level Androids, so that's nice that you get a dedicated camera button on this phone. Now the phone is all plastic construction, the screen is plastic, and the design is quite attractive, or fairly attractive. You do have this kind of trim going around the perimeter of the phone. It's a metallic look, gloss finish. It's not metal, but it kind of looks like metal. And you have this indentation in it, so you can kind of get a good grip on the phone. Now it is pretty compact. This is not one of those huge Androids by any means. This is a very compact phone. Here it is with a playing card, so you can get an idea of the size. Now the dimensions on this one are about 4.5 inches in height 4.6 to be exact. The width on this phone is 2.4, so a little bit less than 2.5 inches. And the thickness is a little bit less than half an inch. So we have 0.47. Now, as I mentioned at the start, the screen is 3.5 inches measured diagonally. That's 3.51. And the actual measurements, or the height and width on the screen, are 2.8 inches tall on the screen by a little bit less than 2 inches wide on the screen. Now the weight on this one is about 4.5 ounces, and we'll go ahead and weigh that for you. So we have 4.55 ounces is the weight on this phone. So it's not a heavy phone by any means. Now, if you're looking at this phone and wondering what doesn't work on it, or maybe what's crippled, since it's on Tracfone, there's something that's got to be out of the ordinary. The answer to that is there's nothing out of the ordinary on this phone. This phone operates just like any other Android would if you had, say, like AT&T or whatever. Everything works out of the box. There's no hacks. There's nothing that you have to make work on this phone. Now, if you're an existing Tracfone user looking to upgrade to Android, and maybe you've never messed around with Android, you're wondering what the big deal is. One of the main things on this phone is the apps and the App Store. There's thousands and thousands of apps you can get on this phone, and this is not like the old Java phones that Tracfone offered, and that you had to kind of make some workarounds and some hacks to get it to work. These apps will download straight into the phone, just like they would if you had AT&T or whatever. You can get free apps or paid apps. Now, if you get paid apps, of course, you will need a Google account. Well, you'll actually need a Google account for both. But if you decide to buy some apps, you will need to give Google your credit card number so they can be billed that way. So app downloading has nothing to do with Tracfone itself. It's all done through the Google Play Store, and it's all done through Google. Now, other features, of course, on this one are YouTube. And the YouTube on this phone is not like Tracfones of old. This is an excellent YouTube player that comes on this phone. And of course, you do get the motion sensing, which we'll show you in a bit. We'll play that one. And there's your YouTube player. Now be aware that, of course, this will be, if you're using Tracfone, this is going to be a limited data plan, in that you're paying for a certain amount of data, and that's what you're going to get, unless you want to pay for more data, which is one of the unique things about this phone, in that you can get an extra data card specifically just for data, without getting another card for minutes and whatnot. Now, be aware that the data cards do not triple. So if you get data cards, you'll get what's on the card. And the reason why I mention that, and while showing you YouTube, is that you probably don't want to do tons of YouTube playing on this phone, because again, your data will be limited to what you're paying on Tracfone. Now, other features, of course, on Android are navigation. The phone does have GPS capabilities. Of course, you also get Google Maps, which no previous Tracfone ever had, or had anything close to it. So this will be all new for Tracfone. Now do be aware that of course all this stuff uses data. So you know, you are limited to whatever data you have, so be aware of that. Now the phone performance, again, this has a fairly robust processor for being an entry-level phone. So all navigation and pretty much everything on this phone is very smooth on it. Of course, you get Gmail and all the other Google extras. Now I'm just mentioning the ones worth talking about. Of course, you can play music, you know, etc., etc. So this is a full-fledged smartphone for Tracfone. There's nothing restricted on this phone. Nothing's crippled on it whatsoever. So, you know, if you're used to your old, if you're an existing Tracfone customer and you're used to your old featured phone, then you know, pretty much throw that out the window, because this is going to be an all-new experience for you. Browsing is going to be more like browsing on a computer than it is on a feature phone. On a feature phone, browsing is usually very limited. And again, the cool thing with this phone, with Tracfone, is that they're going to basically bill you by the data usage. So some of the old feature phones would bill you by the minute. That's not going to work on this phone. This is going to actually bill you by the amount of data that you're using, not how long you stay on a website or how long you have the browser open or anything like that, which is really cool compared to the old Tracphones.